Good morning, y'all. Hi, it is Stacy. We are walking in my shoes this morning. This is Loving My Veteran. So it could be a little rough this morning because I am doing this from the car, and I'm driving. So if you get a little background light, sorry. Not supposed to do this, so I'm hands-freeing it. So just work with me here. I hope everyone had a wonderful Wednesday. Got to experience something that not a lot of people do. Went and picked up my mother from the airport, and we took her to meet her great-granddaughter. And 4 generations is not something that happens often. And so we got to experience that with my mom and my son and the tears, and it was absolutely positively beautiful. So I just have to say that was an amazing way to spend some time yesterday was with them. So with that said, anything else great going on? I know Stephanie does an amazing Wellness Wednesday. Don't forget, tonight we have Let's Talk, and today we're going to kind of talk about freedoms. Kind of got on this subject because I was watching the news first thing this morning, and evidently the current administration has decided to remove Lee Greenwood from the board of the fine arts, in the country. It's got to be a confirmation through the Senate to even sit here. Lee Greenwood has sat on this position for over 20 years through multiple presidents, but the reason they gave was that they thought that his patriotism was a different direction from that of the country. So you might see a whole lot of God Bless the USA be played on my Facebook page, just saying. But we have freedoms, here's the truth of the matter is this. The administration had the freedom to replace anybody they want. We all have freedoms. It doesn't mean we have to like those freedoms. It doesn't mean we have to like the outcomes of those choices. It doesn't mean we have to do anything, but we have freedoms. I have the freedom to get up in the morning and decide what I want in my coffee. That's a freedom. Now, that sounds interesting, but it truly is a freedom. I can decide what I want in my coffee. Sorry, I changed lights. That's a freedom that I have. It isn't a right. It isn't a responsibility. It's a choice that I have. Nobody else has to tell me, Stacy, this is what you get in your coffee. No, that's on me. And when you start with something as small as we have the freedom to choose what goes in our coffee in the morning, right? That's the beginning of everything we do. It's learning your freedoms. What do you have the freedom to do? We all sit back and they're like, wow, well, I can't do this because of this. Oh, you can't or you won't. That's always another thing. And you have a right to say no to people. It's your freedom. It's your ability to say, you know what, I just can't do that today. I may not do that ever. It's a freedom. Nobody is sitting there with a gun to your head and saying, you're going to do this today. That's not the way it works. You have a right to say no. It's your freedom. It's your freedom. But the thing is that we all have them. So if I have that freedom to say no today, so does everybody else. You can't sit here and live by 2 sets of standards. It's just like, am I angry over Lee Greenwood? Absolutely. I am absolutely angry over them removing Lee Greenwood from the board. From the Council of the Fine Arts, I think is what it was called. I'm angry. That makes me mad. You're going to remove him because he's too patriotic? But that's their right, and that's their freedom. See, just because people don't agree with you, it is what it is. it doesn't change that is their freedom to have their own choice. That's what this country was founded on, was on freedom. Religious freedoms. Freedom from being taxed. I mean, that's what people miss. See, people want to erase history because we learned so much from it. We learned so much from history. So people want to erase it. But the truth is that if you go back in and you look at history, you understand that anything major that has happened in this world came from freedoms. People having a right to do what they do. It's their right. It's your right. It's your spouse's right. There's a little difference when it comes to small children. It's kind of like they should live more in a dictatorship, and then they have the freedom when they're older to, kind of decide what they want to do at that point. But, I'm not going to give my kids are growing now, but I wouldn't have given my 5-year-old the freedom to go out and be out all night long. You do have to follow rules. There are rules. But you know what? Here again, rules. People talk about rules. Oh, well, we've lost all of our freedom. No, you haven't. You have rules. We have them. We all have rules. You have the right, the freedom to choose to follow them or not. And if you don't follow them, you know what the consequences of not following the rules are. You're not taking people's freedom away when you do that. You are letting them exercise their right of freedom to choose the path that they go down, but you don't have to reward it with consequences. You don't have to reward it. If the consequences are, hey, you're going to be drinking every night, not in my presence, you're not. You're not stopping them from drinking. They're 21 years old. They had that freedom. They have that freedom. They have the right to go buy beer or liquor or whatever. They have a legal right to be able to do that. They make the free will choice to pop the top, not you. Okay? At the end of the day, they make that choice. But you have the right to say, you're not going to be tore up in my presence. You're not going to be tore up in the presence of our children. This is not going to work this way. You're not going to drink and drive our vehicles. Now see, that's not taking away their freedom. Drink till hell freezes over if that's what you choose. But these are what happens when you drink, and there's no what do you do? There's consequences for that. That's when the boundaries start to set. It's weird because people think of boundaries as restrictive. We get in our head that boundaries are so restrictive. Boundaries aren't restrictive. Boundaries are freeing. It's like, I don't know. All I can explain it is like this. It's like you finally get a chance to put up that big wooden fence in your backyard that none of the neighbors can see over, and that you get to go lay out and jump in your pool or lay out in your pool naked, where nobody is there to judge you because they're your boundaries. It's your freedom. It's your space. We don't create boundaries to set rules. We don't create boundaries to sit here and judge people. Do what you want in your boundary, in your bubble. But if your bubble doesn't merge with my bubble, we ain't got to put our bubbles in the same bubble. And you don't have to put all of your bubble in the same bubble. See, that's the part that's great. People get this all or none theory. This all or none theory. They're like, well, if he can't follow every rule, we're not going to have any relationship. We're never going to talk again. He's going to do this. They're going to do that. Somebody else is going to do that. No, y'all, get with it. If you're not drinking And drinking is one of the things you don't want in your bubble. If you're not drinking, they're not drinking, let them enjoy your bubble. Because how are they going to know what's in your bubble if they don't enjoy what's in the bubble? You got to know what's on the other side. You got to learn to live what's on the other side. You got to want what's on the other side. That's how this works. It's about your freedoms. It's about people's freedoms. Who cares? When you start getting that mindset that you're the only person responsible for you, and they're ultimately, at the end of the day, the only person responsible for them, and you set up your boundaries to protect you and what you will and will not allow in and out of your bubble, and they have the same right, by the way, the same right everybody does to create their own bubble, right? And you have the freedom to choose who comes in and out of your bubble. When we start living our lives that way, you will find that the world is a happier place. You know why people are angry? Because there's anger in our bubbles. Because there's turmoil in our bubble. I can remember this when a lot of this got started. It was like, I watch the news and it's on 24/7 and I'm just so sick and tired of listening to the news. And did you hear what they said 5 minutes ago and this? Well, turn the shit off. It's not like it's programmed in your bubble. You have that freedom. News, don't want to hear it. Off. See how simple that is? It's your freedom. It's in your bubble. Go turn it off. It's not hard. Once you learn the concept, and once you truly understand what your bubble means and its purpose, starting to exercise it becomes easier and easier. It doesn't make you a bitch. It doesn't make you hateful. It doesn't make you any of those things. It makes you strong. It makes you empowering. It empowers others. Because let me tell you something. The first time that somebody wants to go do something, like say drinking, and the first time you look at them and say, I'm sorry, you're not going like this with me. I'll be back in a little bit. The first time you do that, the very first time you do that, it is empowering and it makes them go, what? They might yell and scream the whole time you're out walking out the door. They may have an attitude that may last for days. But all of a sudden they're going to get that light bulb's going to go on and they're going to be like, what? What do you mean? So if I want to go be part of this, I've got to do this. Nope, you don't have to do anything. You can do what you want. But like this, you're not coming in my bubble. And all of a sudden they get it. And all of a sudden things get better. And all of a sudden you understand. And then communication breaks down. Yeah, progress, not perfection. I love that. It's one of my greatest things ever. I do love that. But it's about your freedoms and what's in your bubbles. Enjoy that. You have that freedom. You have that right. I'm a meat eater, okay? It's one of them things. I like my steak medium rare. I remember going through this whole fool time when people thought steak had to be well done, and there were all this, well, we can only serve well done steaks. Well, that ended quick, and now they have to have a little sign on the menu even, right? A little sign on the menu that says, warning, consumption of raw food or undercooked food may make you. Okay, it may. I want my steak medium rare. If I wanted to eat the bottom of a shoe, I'd go and eat a flip-flop. I want my steak medium rare. I know the risk. I know the dangers. I choose to deal with that and have my steak medium rare, and you're not going to tell me how to eat it. I have that freedom still. Have that freedom. Have that right. You know, it is just the things you got to think back about. We get so worked up in living our veteran life. We get so worked up in our PTSD life that we don't realize that we're already practicing this bubble in our daily lives. People are like, well, I don't know how to do that. I've never done it before. Yes, you have. Yes, you have. Have you ever gone into a pizza place and you wanted a supreme pizza minus one item and you say, ooh, I want that, no onions? Well, guess what you did? You had the ability to say what you would and would not allow on your pizza, which would and would not allow in your bubble. You practice it every day. You just don't realize that you're doing it. Do it every day. And that's the part that's easy. Once you realize that, hey, it's not as bad as what I think. Now, it is kind of bad for the guy who puts the onions on my pizza and I drive 10 minutes home and realize I don't mind onions. But if there was anchovies up on my pizza and I drove part of the way home, it would not be a good situation. See, because I have two choices when I get a pizza that's got onions on it. I can either pick the onions off myself or I can send it back. See the concept? If I'm allowing the wrong pizza to be in my bubble, that's on me. That's on me. Because I have two choices. That's what we do in our lives with our veterans, y'all. We sit here and we say, I can never do this. I can't do this. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know how I'm going to do it. I'm overwhelmed. I'm drowning. Yeah, you are, because we all were too. I've been there. I'm still there at days. You get overwhelmed. You drown. You're not drowning as long as you're hollering and breathing. It's all good. Might panic a little bit. Okay? But sitting here and saying it is hard to take the step. It is hard to take the step. Thing is that you're already doing it. And sometimes we don't do it as efficiently as we need to in the rest of our lives. But when you start to practice perfecting the inside of your bubble, protecting the inside of your bubble, and I'm talking about from the guy that puts the wrong crap on the pizza, to your boss, to your children, to your neighbor who wants to come into my yard. Don't you dare come into my yard ever, by the way. From the neighbor who comes into my yard, unless you've been invited, to my veteran. I had to learn to practice that. But when I realized I was already doing it on a really simple level, it got easier. I was like, hey, I do this anyway. I'm already doing this. I'm already doing this because I have that freedom of choice. I have control over my bubble. Now, it's just one of those things that happen. It's being able to say, I got this. And the first time you do it, it gets tough. I'm going to tell you what, the first time you tell anybody, your children, your mama, your daddy, your spouse, your veteran, even your dog. Okay, for those of y'all don't know, Mouse is the cutest little boxer ever. Mouse broke his leg as a puppy, and we let him get away with a lot of stuff he probably shouldn't have. So now Mouse, who's a little over a year old, I have to post some pictures today. Mouse has learned to stick his bottom lip out and pout. Okay? So I was telling him he couldn't do something, and he knew better. And he stuck his bottom lip out and pouted. And I'm like, no, sir. We are not doing this again. This is where you're going to go. So we'd allowed the dog the puppy to control our life, I had to put boundaries up for the darn dog. Right? It's interesting. You got to do it with everything. You know, when you let them do this or you let them do that, or your kid, you got your kid, and there's nothing. You know, I'm old school parent. I watch this 100 times. Oh, little Johnny will be okay doing that. We'll get him to stop when he gets older. Yeah, have fun with that. So if you got a little Johnny type kid, little kid running around and he's doing something and, you know, slapping people or throwing things down and has a cute little way he stomps his foot and you think it's adorable and you let him start doing that in your house, let me tell you right now, I'm going to tell you right now, it's not adorable and he won't stop. Right? So just put that out there. You got to fix that bubble. But you've got that. What are you allowing in your bubble? How are you holding people accountable? What are your freedom? And remember, we all have them. It's just every freedom has a consequence. Every freedom has a consequence. And I hate to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, or ladies, whoever's watching this, the consequence of our freedom is the veteran that we love. They're the one who gave up their life or could have given up their lives. They're the ones who went out and did what they did every day when they were in service. They did it for us so we'd have our freedoms. They did it for us so this country would have their freedom. They did it so that, as much as I don't like it, Biden could take Lee Greenwood off of a council, even though, God Bless the USA is probably one of the most amazing, heart-touching songs I've ever known, ever heard. It's carried from era to era. It's just one of those songs. And he's right. You can't take that from me. You can't take that freedom away from me. But our veterans went and served, unfortunately, to give them this right. And that's the thing we have to remember. We have to remember we all have these rights. Our veterans have these rights. We have these rights because of our veterans. Much as we hate to say it, Congress has these rights because of our veterans and the veterans before them. It's all about rights. It's about freedom, because that is what we were founded on. That's what we do. So exercise your freedom. Exercise your right. Be part of the solution. Enjoy your freedoms. You have them. Learn to use them. And respect the fact that everybody else has theirs too. Whether we agree or disagree, we all have that freedom. I'm going to run in here to this little doctor and see what they have to say again this morning. It's follow-up day. But I want y'all to have a blessed day. We will be on Let's Talk tonight, Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. It is Zoom. The links are on the page. I'll make sure we get some more on there. Then I know that is getting ready to start packing the beast so we can head to Texas. So excited. So anybody in the Texas area wants to come join us, Nakia's fixing weenies and taters and a wok. I'm Stacy. This has been Loving My Veteran. Y'all have a blessed day. Bye.